Hello viewers, today we shall discuss about the details of the sense organs, particularly concerning to the compound eyes as well as the simple eyes. Besides this, we shall also discuss about the post-embryonic development, where we shall study the different types of larvae and different types of pupae along with the different types of metamorphosis which are encountered in the insect's life. Now coming to the ocelli, which are also known as simple eyes. A ocellus contain one lens, which is also called technically ommatidium. Ocelli are of two types. One is dorsal ocelli and second is lateral ocelli, and both type of ocelli are similar in structure. Now coming to the dorsal ocelli, as the name indicates that they are present on the dorsal or facial part of the head, and they are common in the adults and immature stages of the insect, particularly of the hemimetabolous species. It means the insects which have egg, nymph and adult in their life cycles. Similarly, the lateral ocelli, which are also known as stemata, they are present on the lateral side of the head and the number varies from 1 to 6. They mostly help the insect to detect the form, color and movement, and they are also helpful to scan the environment. This diagram shows the transverse section of an ocellus, which clearly indicate that there is a corneal lens below which there are layers of cornegian cells, which are surrounded by the pigmentary cells. Around the pigment cells, we find rod-like structures which are known as rhabdom, and these rhabdoms, they are directly connected to the nervous system, particularly the axonic portion of the nervous cell. Now coming to the compound eyes. The compound eyes are the principal visual organs in most of the insects, and they are very prominent in the adults and in many immature stages of ametabolous and hemimetabolous orders. Now a compound eyes are composed of many similar closely packed facets or lens, which are called as ommatidia, which functions as a functional unit of the vision. Externally, if we look into the ommatidium, it is made up of a convex lens which is transparent and made up of cuticle, which is known as cornegian lens. Below the lens, we find a crystalline cone. This crystalline cone, along with the dioptric apparatus, makes a visual component, and the light which passes through this cornegian lens and through the crystalline cone reaches to the rhabdom, which are directly connected to the nervous system. However, there are pigment cells which are densely packed, hence the image which is formed in the compound eyes is brighter and more clear as compared to the ocelli or the simple eyes. This diagram depicts the transverse section of an ommatidium of the compound eyes, where you can see that there is a cornea below which a crystalline cone is there, which is surrounded by the pigment cells, and below the pigment cells or near the pigment cells we find the photoreceptor cells, which are attached to the nervous system or the optic nerve cord. Now, there is a special organ which is known as Johnston's organ. This Johnston organ is located on the second segment of the antenna or the pedicel of each antenna, and this organ helps in the orientation of the antennae. If we talk about the mosquitoes and midges, these Johnston organs are very much developed and they respond to certain frequencies of the airborne sound and also detect air currents of the water. As we know that the larvae of the mosquitoes, they prefer their part of life in the water. Now, coming to the post-embryonic development, before we start the actual content of the topic, there are some common terms which are used for understanding the post-embryonic development, like the ecdysis, apolysis, exuvie, stadium and instar. Say for example, what is an instar? This is the actual insect during a stadium, and stadium is a total period between any two molt or any between two stages. Now, there are many types of larvae which are common in case of insects. They include first protopod larvae or protopod larva. These larvae hatch from egg which contain very less yolk material or food material, hence they hatch at a very early stage of their development. The body segmentation is incomplete and the appendages are either rudimentary, it means they are absent, and the best examples are the parasitic hymenopterans. Similarly, polypod larva or eruciform larva. These larvae can be characterized by the presence of the thoracic legs and variable numbers of abdominal legs. It means the thoracic as well as the abdominal legs, which are also known as prolegs, they are present in such type of larvae, and the best examples we come across the order Lepidoptera. Now, coming to the another type, oligopod larvae. These larvae can be characterized by the presence of well developed head capsule, and this includes campediform type of larvae and scabiform type of larvae. Coming to the campediform type larvae, the head is prognathous type with no compound eyes. Larvae are mostly predators and are very active, and the examples includes the members of the order Odonata and Neuroptera. In case of scarabiform type of larvae, the body is C-shaped, well scleroid thorax and abdomen with short thoracic legs and without abdominal legs. And the very best example is a larva of the white grub. Another type of larva is apodous larva. Apodous means without legs. A means absent, poda means legs. So, larva or larvae without legs are known as apodous larva or larvae, and this may be further divided into or classified into eucephalous, hemicephalous and acephalous type of larva. Now, with regard the eucephalus type of larva, this type of larva is well developed head capsule and functional mouth part, and the examples include the larva of a mosquito. Similarly, in case of hemicephalus type larva, head capsule is reduced and withdrawn into the thorax. The best example is the larva of a horsefly or a robber fly. Acephalus larva can be recognized by the absence of the head capsule, and mouth parts are represented in the form of mouth hooks, and the examples of such type of larvae are maggots. Now, coming to the types of pupae. Pupa is a resting or inactive stages in all holometabolous insect. Holometabolous insect means the insects which have all the 4 stages in their life cycle. Now, based on the presence or absence of the articulated mandibles, these pupae may be further classified into various types. For example, first, Decticus pupae, it means they possesses powerful mandibles which are used for escaping the pupa from the cocoon, and the examples includes the members of the Neuroptera, Macroptera and some Lepidopterous families. Decticus pupae can be recognized with those pupae which do not have articulated mandibles, but with the help of other appendages the adult escape from the cocoon, and the examples are the members of the Coleoptera, Hymenoptera and Diptera. Now, on the basis of the appendages, the pupa may be free or adherent to the body, and they may be further classified into 3-4 types. First is the exarata type, where the appendages are free and are not usually attached together, and the examples are most of the Coleopterans and Hymenopterans pupae are known as exarata type of pupae. Optac type of pupae, where the appendages are clearly attached to the body, and the best example come under the order Lepidoptera. Correcta type of pupa, those pupa which remain inside a cocoon. Cocoon is a shell-like structure where the pupa rest, and before the last larval skin comes out, it remains there, and as soon as the last larval molt is completed, it comes out of the cocoon. So, the pupa which remain inside the puparium or cocoon, they come across under the category of correcta type of pupa. Now, after going through the types and pupae of larvae, now we shall switch on to the next topic, that is the metamorphosis. Now, metamorphosis means the changes which occur from egg hatching until the adult is seen, or we can say any type of change which we encounter after hatching to the emergence of the adult is termed as metamorphosis. Metamorphosis may be of different types. The first type is ametabolous. This is a primitive type of metamorphosis, and insects have 3 stages in their life cycle, that is egg, young ones and adults. The hatching insect resembles to the adult in all respects except in size and reproductive ability, it means the genitalia is not fully developed, and the examples are apterygotes types of insects. This diagram depicts the life cycle of the silverfish, where you can see that the adult gave rise to eggs, then the 3-4 nymphal stages are there, nymph 1, nymph 2, nymph 3 and nymph 4, and then again the adult comes out of the nymph 4, and adult and nymphs, they look like exactly the same except the size and the reproductive organs or the external genitalia is not fully developed. With regard to the hemimetabolous, hemi means something is absent or something is missing. It means one stage of the life cycle is missing, and that is the pupal stage invariably, or pupal stage is missing in most of the cases. And the life stages includes the egg, young ones and adult stages. And out of these, one of the immature stage pass through the aquatic habitat, while the adults, they live on the aerial habitat or on the soil. And the examples are mayflies, dragonflies and stoneflies. Parametabolous type of metamorphosis, which we can say that the metamorphosis is slow or gradual, and the changes which come under this type of metamorphosis are very slight. It means the changes which come after hatching of the egg cannot be seen very clearly. It means this change is very slow. Or we can say, in other words, the adult and the nymphs, and even within the nymphs, these first instar nymph, second instar nymph and third instar nymph, they cannot be easily recognized with the naked eyes. However, the difference is so minute that it is difficult to say that this is the first instar nymph or it is the second instar nymph. The immature stages, that is the nymphal stage, resembles to adult in many respects, except wings, gonads and external genitalia. It means the wings of the adults and the nymph, gonads, that is the reproductive organs, either the external genitalia or the internal system, reproductive system, they are not very much developed in case of immature stages. The characteristic feature of such type of metamorphosis is both, that is the adult and the developing stages, they prefer to live in the same habitat, in the same environment. Immature instars are very much common. This type of metamorphosis, if we come across, then we can call it as porometabolous or gradual type of metamorphosis. Lastly, we shall discuss about the holometabolous type of metamorphosis. Holo means full or complete. It means all the 4 stages of the insect life, that is the egg, larva, pupa and adult, should be present in such type of metamorphosis. This type of metamorphosis is also called as indirect or complete metamorphosis. Larvae differ from the adult both in body structure and habitat. It means the larva may feed on leaf, but the adult stage or the adults of such type of insects may not feed on the leaves or the plant parts For example, the larva of a holometabolous insect, it possesses biting and chewing type of mouth parts, whereas in certain cases of holometabolous insect, they do not prefer to have the biting and chewing type of mouth parts. And the best examples is Lepidoptera, Hymenoptera, Coleoptera and Diptera, or the members of such orders, they come across the metamorphosis under the holometabolous type of development. Today we have discussed about the sense organs. Though there are many type of senses are present in the insects, but we have discussed the details of the sense organs which are used for detecting the light, or the sense organs which are used for the vision purpose, where we had discussed about the simple type of eyes or the compound type of eyes, what are the structures which we encounter under two types of eyes. The details we have seen through the diagrams. Beside this, we have also discussed about the post-embryonic development, where we had discussed about the different types of larvae, pupae, with examples and diagrams, and then we have discussed in detail about the metamorphosis, what is metamorphosis, different types of metamorphosis which we encounter in the insect's life, and lastly in detail we had discussed about the holometabolous type of metamorphosis. It means all the four stages should be there in the life cycle.